Hi guys, this is Andrew with rockclass101.com, and in this week's ukulele lesson, we're learning a tune that needs no introduction, Bodysurfing. So this song is probably one of the most iconic compositions tied to ukulele music, and I've got to give a big round of applause to Evan for tackling this and having the idea to do it as a duet, because as you guys heard, it is super high energy and a lot of fun. So let's jump into talking about how we're going to tackle learning this. So in this video, we're going to be learning the first half of the song for both ukulele parts. So we'll call it part 1 and part 2. Now, if you guys want to learn the second half of the tune, you can do so by clicking this link or going to the site rockclass101.com and doing a search for Bodysurfing. Now on that page will also be the tabs that you can print off and keep as a PDF file, as well as you can access the on-screen tab viewer. Now this is a really cool feature where you can hit play, watch the tab scroll across in real time. You can highlight bars to loop sections, slow it down to any speed you wish. Just a really great asset for tackling a tricky tune like this that much easier. Now last but not least, we're also going to have backing tracks. So we'll have a backing track for the ukulele part 1 and a backing track for the ukulele part 2. So you'll be able to download either one or both of them. That way, once you learn the tune, you can play along with Evan. So really, really cool stuff. And we have those backing tracks in 3 different speeds. We have 100%, 75%, and 50% speed. Now, here's how we're going to tackle learning this tune. We're going to start off by learning the part 1, the ukulele part 1, and then we're going to learn the part 2. So if you want to jump ahead and just learn the part 2, I'll put the timestamps right up there. But we're going to kick off with the intro for part 1. Now, the other thing I want to go ahead and talk about is the tricky thing with this tune. There's really one thing that's very tricky about it, and that's that it uses a lot of syncopation. Now, syncopation means that you're playing off the beat. So if we think about it in eighth notes, we have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, right? It's very natural for us to play on the downbeat, right? On 1, 2, 3, 4, right? But then when we start to play on the ups, it gets a little bit harder, right? So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So those ends, that's all syncopation means. Now, we're going to take the difficulty level up a notch because most of the syncopation you're going to see throughout this tune is with 16th note rhythm, okay? So what I would suggest is to really start to get familiar with understanding rhythmic notation. I'm going to put a link in the description box below for an intro lesson to understanding rhythmic notation, but the best way to really gain a thorough understanding of how timing and rhythm connect is to learn to read standard notation. So jump into our reading course because that's going to be the best way because it eliminates tablature, right? So tablature can sometimes be a bit of a crutch. Now, when the rhythms get really syncopated and tricky, we're also going to be using our ear to help us learn these bars. That's going to make it really easy as well. So if you can sing it, you can play it. Keep that in mind as we move forward. All right, so we're kicking off with ukulele number 1, the intro, and I'm going to play the first part, and this is the iconic riff. So it sounds like this. All right, so there is our very first phrase. Okay, so let's go ahead and tackle this. Now, rhythmically, it's very simple. We only have 16th notes, so that means that we keep the duration of each note equal. So to do this, I want you guys to take that index finger, go ahead and lay it flat on the 10th fret, strings 1 and 2. So it's going to be a bit of a partial bar. So proper left hand form behind the neck is really vital here. We have this U-shaped gap right here. If you're new to forming partial bar chords, because in essence that's pretty much what we're doing right now, is we're doing a partial bar chord, not a full bar chord, which would cover all 4 strings, but we're doing a partial bar chord covering 2 strings, then check out our lesson on proper left-hand form. It's going to come in very helpful because we have a lot of chords that use that partial bar chord form coming up. Okay? All right, so going back to this, lay flat on the 10th fret, strings 1 and 2, with that index finger, and we're going to use what I like to call playing out of a box. So if you think about where we're starting, our index finger plays everything on the 10th fret. If we had a note on the 11th fret, it would be our middle finger. If we have a note on the 12th fret, it would be our ring finger. And as you guessed, if we have a note on the 13th fret, it would be our pinky. So each finger gets its own fret. That makes playing really, really efficient. So if I play just a few, you can see that box being used. Right? So each finger gets its own fret. So let's go ahead and jump into it. So start with the pinky on 13 on string 1. Play that note. Then play 10 on string 2. Remember that's a bar, so we don't have to lift or move any finger. After that, lift the pinky up, play 10 on string 1, and then play 12 on string 1. So you have 13, 10 on 2, lift up, 10 on 1, 12 on 1. Remember all 16th, 1, E, and A. Now as far as my right hand, what I'm going to be doing is a mix of piccato for the first string, which literally just means going second, first, second, first, second, first. So if you're new to this way of playing, we actually covered piccato technique in complete detail in a flamenco lesson called La Gitanita. I'll put a link in the description box below, so check that lesson out if you're new to this. But basically, I'm just going to be alternating second, first for every melody note on string 1. Then for string 2, I'm just going to use my thumb. So if you watch my right hand playing through this first melody phrase, you can see it's literally just ba-ba-ba alternating and then thumb for string 2. So that's the easy way for me. Okay, so going back to what we've covered the first 4 notes. 13, 10, 10, 12. That's going to get repeated 3 times. So you're going to play that phrase 3 times. 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a. Okay, so on beat 4, it changes. You're going to do a walk down on the first string. So you're going to go 13, 12, 10, and then end on 13. So 4 E and A. Okay, so 13, 12, 10, 13. So take the first 4 notes, repeat it 3 times, then put in that last bit. And if we try the entire thing together, we have 3 E and A, 4 E and A. Okay, so remember, keep that index finger anchored as the partial bar. Now, going into the next phrase, it's going to be very, very similar. So that's the cool thing about this. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take this index finger and we're just going to drop it down a whole step. So you're going to lay flat on the 8th fret, strings 1 and 2. Now from here, we can't really play out of that box shape because we're going to be breaking the box. We're going to be extending the box. So we're going to be playing the 12th fret, the 10th fret, and the 8th fret for this. So I would recommend to use the pinky and the ring finger for this. Let me play this measure for you. Okay, and you can see that we're literally just playing 8, 10, and 12. I like to use first, third, and pinky finger. Same right hand picking patterns or usage mechanics is intact. So piccato and thumb for string 2. So again, the same concept as the first bar where we have 3 times of the same phrase. So if we look at the first 4 notes, we have 12 on string 1 with the pinky, 8 on string 2, it's barred. Lift the pinky up, you're going to play 8 on string 1, 10 on string 1. Okay, so 1 E and A. You're going to repeat that 2 more times. 2 E and A, 3 E and A. Okay, so let's just try that. 4 E and A. Okay, to end the phrase, a little walk down where we're going to go 12, 10, 8, and then back to 12 on string 1. So everything string 1. So 12, 10, 8, 12. Okay, so let's try that entire measure together. 4, E, and A. Nice. So let's do this. Let's backtrack now. Let's try the first into the second bar. Here we go. 3, E, and A. 4, E, and A. Nice. Now, same thing is going to be happening for the next one. We're literally just going to take this index finger, move it down a whole step again. So you're flat on the 6th fret, strings 1 and 2. And we have this same kind of gap stretch. So we're going to have 6, 8, and 10. All right, so get used to that. Same fingers work best, in my opinion, pinky, ring, and index. So if I play this measure, it's going to be a little bit different than the other ones, but quite similar at the same time. You can hear it gets cut short. So you're going to start with that repeating phrase, so 10 on string 1, string 2, which is the 6th fret barred, lift the pinky up, playing 6 on string 1, and then 8. So there's our repeating phrase that gets played 3 times. Second, third. And then for beat 4, all you have to do is play 10 on string 1 and hold it for a quarter note. So that's the change that we have. Okay, so let's try that one. 3, E, and 4, E, and Awesome. Now, the last measure to complete this first half of the intro has a cool little melody line. Sounds like this. So it's a really cool phrase in a lick, and I would suggest singing it back to get that rhythm stuck in your head. Ba 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 da 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 da. Right, so this is going to be the first one that we see with that syncopation, and if you can sing it, you can play it, and I think that's probably the best approach for this one. Right, so slow it down and sing it back at that tempo. Ba 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 da 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 da. Alright, so let's go ahead and tackle it. It's going to start with a slide 8 to 9 on string 1. You can use the ring finger. After that, go to 5 on string 1. So we have slide 5. Then we have a hammer-on pull-off. So 5, 6, 5. It's quick. Okay, so fast hammer-on pull-off. After that, take the ring, play 8 on string 2, and then 5 on string 1. So that first finger can pretty much just stay anchored. Okay, I don't think I'd keep that ring finger held down. I'd play the note and lift up, because we don't want those two pitches to blend in and ring out together. It kind of sounds a little bit, it really should be just this note ringing out. Right, that sounds right to me. Okay, so again, we have slide 5, hammer on pull off, then 8 on string 2, 5 on string 1. Da, da, ba, ba, da. So let's see if we can try that one together. 3, 4. Cool, one more time. 3, 4. Okay, so that 5 is going to last the remainder of the measure, and then you're literally going to repeat what you played for those first few bars. So you're going to go back into so those same 3 bars are going to be measure 5, 6, and 7. And then in measure 8, we have a little change. So instead of playing that phrase, we're going to play, Okay, so it's going to be 5, 5, 6, 6, 5. So again, we have syncopation. Ba, 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 ba. But really easy to sing and play. Da, 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 da. So 5, 5, 6, 6, 5. Let's try together. 3, 4. Ba, 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 ba. Okay, so that 5 is going to linger, but then you're going to have a little phrase. Kind of think of it like a pickup measure that starts the next section of the tune. And basically what you're going to do is you're going to be playing out of a G minor chord, so make that G minor shape, but get rid of the index finger. You're going to play 2, 3, 0. Okay, so all together that measure is. Okay, so we have ba 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 ba, do do do. All right, so let's see if we can try that one together. 3, 4, da 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 da, ba da da. Awesome. Now let's see if we can backtrack. Let's try all 8 measures together. Remember, 1, 2, and 3 is the same as 5, 6, and 7. So a lot of repetition here. So here we go. 3 E and 4 E and 2, 3, 4. So that gives us a context of the first 8 measures. Now let's go ahead and move into the next theme. So we're still playing ukulele part number 1. And I'm going to play the first couple measures. This theme's going to be a little bit trickier than the first part. So we're going to be probably breaking it down just a little bit more and explaining a few things in a little bit more detail. But let's go ahead and jump into it. First couple bars sound like this. So there's the first couple bars. So let's go ahead and start with just the first one. And this is measure 9. So this one starts with triplets, 8th note triplets, and then goes into the syncopation. So the easy way is to not add these little flourishes that happen. We're going to just simplify it first and then add them. So what I want you to do is just to go 1st fret on string 1, triplet, play that 3 times. 1, 1, 1. Then the next set of triplets starting for beat 2 is going to be 1, 0, 0. So if you put those 2 beats together, you have 1, 1, 1, 1, 0, 0. Okay, so triplet, triplet. Now starting on beat 3, you're going to go. Okay, so we have syncopation. Ba da 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 da, ba da 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 da. Okay, so O, then 3rd fret of string 2. You're gonna hit that 3 times. Ba da da da. Okay, so O 3 3 3. Add the index finger to the 1st fret of string 1. Pluck both of those notes. So ba da 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 da. Okay, so get that syncopated 16th stuck in your head. Ba da 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 da. Oh, 3 3 3 pluck. If we add the first part, remember we simplified it. So triplet, triplet, ba da 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 pluck. Okay, so together. Triplet, triple go. Triplet, triplet, ba da 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 pluck. Now, Evan adds a couple flourishes in that triplet section. So he's going to add a flourish on the 1st and the 4th hit. So basically flourish just means it's a grace note, meaning that we're just going to add a little bit of pizzazz to it. So that first hit of that triplet, you actually want to hammer on 0 to 1. Triplet. So if you play just the first triplet, hammer 1 1 triplet. Okay, so just try that with me. Ready, go. Triplet. Now the second triplet, you're going to go first and then pull off 1 to 0 on the second triplet. And then finish up with an open. So you can hear triplet, triplet. So 1 pull off, open. Okay, so it's very tricky. Count these ones as you play it. Triplet, triple off. Okay, so hammer 1 1 1, pull off, and then open. If you put that together, we have triplet. Okay, so very tricky stuff. It gets easier as we move forward. This is actually the hardest bar, I think, from a rhythmic standpoint. Okay, let's try that entire thing together. Triplet, triple, go. Okay, now when you pluck this 3 and 1, that's going to basically tie into the next measure. You're going to be sliding. You're going to be sliding into a triplet. So the second measure has the exact same rhythm where it starts with the 8th note triplets. But it's a little tricky because you're sliding into it and you're literally starting on the second hit in that triplet, right? So we're sliding for the first one. Bullet, triplet, ba-da-da-da. Right, so it's a little bit hard, but again, playing by ear makes it a lot easier. Right, so this is a song you probably heard a lot, so a lot of that melody that's being played is already ingrained in our brain. So let's do this. Let's talk about the slide last. Let's start this 10th bar on the first hit, which is the second hit of the first triplet. So I want you to pretend that we just slid up, and where we're going to end up is 6 and 5. So it's going to be the ring finger and the middle finger. Still strings 1 and 2. So remember, we're not playing on trip, but we are playing on pa-let, triplet, right? So we're playing on this second hit. Polet. So you're going to pluck twice. Triplet. I want you to pluck one more time. That's going to start the next triplet. Triplet, trip. Okay, at this point, lift the middle finger up, move the ring finger down a half step to 5, and then put the index on 3 on string 1. You're going to hit that 2 times. That's going to end the triplet. It's for beat 2. So you have triplet, triplet. So we have 3 hits on that first 6-5. Triplet, triplet. And then moving down to 5-3. All right, so let's try that one together. So remember, starting the second triplet. Triplet, triple, go. Triplet, triplet. Okay, now to finish up the phrase, it's going to be a syncopated 16th. So we have ba-da-ba-ba, little slide. Ba-da-ba-ba. So we're going to start where we left off, 5 and 3. It's going to slide down a whole step to 3 and 1. Then you're going to hit it twice. So we have ba-da-ba-ba. Okay, if we put that entire measure together, not including the little slide from the first one, this is what we get. Triplet, triple, go. Triplet, triplet, ba-da-ba-ba. Okay, now let's go back and let's talk a little bit about that slide. So we have a really cool slide that takes us from that 9th measure into the 10th measure. So what exactly is happening and how does that work? So if we start at the end of the 9th measure, beat 3, sounds like that. So here's the trick, is that when we play that 3 and 1, the very last hit of the 9th measure, you can see that the ring finger is going to slide up to 6, and then the middle finger gets added to 5 on string 1. So that index finger literally lifts up, right? And then the middle has to come down to grab it on the second hit of the triplet. Okay, so you want to just practice that. Okay, so hit pause, practice that, and then you want to start to put it into that timing. Okay, so that's really how to break it down into 2 parts. Get the mechanics of what the left hand's doing, and then put it into the timing context. So if we try those first couple measures of this theme 1 together, bar 9 and 10, together sounds like this. Triple lit, triple go. Really, really cool stuff. Now, it gets easier because there's not as much of this crazy syncopation in the first measure. So these are like 2-bar phrases. As we work through this theme 1, we can kind of think of it as 2-bar phrases. That's going to be the easiest way to tackle it. Here's what the next one is. So far we're playing just out of G minor for those first 2. Bar 11 and 12, we're going to be playing out of this F. Okay, so think of the stock F, but we don't need the 4th string. So just strum from the 3rd down, or you could pluck this. But here's what this next 2 measures sound like. So very similar, right? Just much easier first part because it's all out of 16ths for the first part, but it's not this crazy mix between eighth triplets and crazy syncopated 16ths. So this first part, go ahead and make that F chord without the 4th string. We can strum this, and then for this stuff, you can use like a 3-finger approach where thumb plays everything on string 3, index plays string 2, middle plays string 1. But again, when we have multiple notes on the same string, I'm going to revert back to piccato, because the goal of this tune as well is to increase our speed eventually so we can play it at a quicker tempo. Okay, so let's tackle just the first part. So strum the F, 3 down, then you're going to play open A and open C. 1 and Okay, so strum 1, 3. After that, you're going to pluck string 2 and string 1, so keep that index finger anchored. Okay, so we've got strum 1, 3, pluck, then hit string 3, and then put the ring finger down on the 3rd fret of string 2. We're going to hit that twice. That'll complete the first half of the measure. So strum 1, 3, pluck 3, 3, 3. Okay, so strum 1, 3, pluck C, 3rd fret on string 2. Okay, pretty simple rhythmically, guys. 1 and a 2, E and a. Okay, let's try just that slowed down. Ready, go. One more time. Ready, go. Okay, from here, keep the ring down, pull off 3 to 1. Okay, open C, and then 1st fret again. Okay, so try just that phrase. 3 E and Okay, put it together. Okay, let's try. 3, 4. So you're going to hold that out, you're going to hit the first again, and then you're going to flip back to third and first and pluck that. So a bit of syncopation at the end. So da ba 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 da 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 ba 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 ba. Right, again, if you can sing it, you can play it. Okay, so let's try it. 3, 4. Okay, so same thing's going to happen here where we have this slide up going into the next measure. But again, we're going to talk about that last. So let's start the next measure and the same thing happens. So this 12th measure is going to start on the second of that first triplet, right? So we have triplet, triplet, ba-da, da, da. Triplet, triplet, ba, 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 ba. So again, get that stuck in your head. So we're going to start with 5 and 3. So ring and index. Triplet, trip. So again, same thing as before, where we're going to go triplet, trip. So you hit it 3 times, then move down a whole step to 3 and 1. 2 more times. And that'll finish up the first half. Triplet, triplet. Okay, then here comes the 16th syncopated. So we have ba-da-da-da. So pluck, and then we're switching back to the F. Pluck, F, F, F. And we have 3 hits. Triplet, triplet, pluck, ba, ba, ba. Okay, so slow. Triplet, triplet, pluck, ba, ba, ba. Awesome. So let's see if we can try that one together, starting on the second of the triplet. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, go. Triplet, triplet, ba da da da. Nice. Now, let's backtrack and talk about that slide going into it. So 11 into 12. Okay, so what's happening here? This one's actually a lot easier than the first one, because if we think about it, we have 3 and 1, and it's literally just going to slide up a whole step, right? So we can keep both fingers planted and slide into that, so we don't have to do any kind of changing fingers or anything like we did in the previous measures. Okay, so here's what I want you to do, is to take it from the second half of 11. Okay, so take it from there, and let's see if we can try it. Here we go. Ready, go. Okay, so just all comes down to practicing, getting used to getting that slide down and putting it into that timing context. But if we try 11 and 12 together, this is what we get. 1, 2, 3, 4. Nice. And then if we backtrack, we play the first 4 together. This is what we get. 2, ready, go. Okay, so that gives you a bit of a context. Remember, this theme is really set up into 2 measure phrases. So just tackle 9 and 10, and then tackle 11 and 12 before trying to do 9 through 12. Right, so take it 2 measures at a time. Now, going into the next part, it's basically a variation. So 13 and 14 is basically a variation of 9 and 10, with the only variation happening in the first measure. So you can hear that the second measure is pretty much, it's identical. So the first one, 13, is going to be all 16ths, so it's going to be a lot easier to play. Okay, so let's tackle just that. So we have just the first half, all 16ths. Make the G minor chord. I want you to hammer on after you strum. So you're going to strum, hammer on to the first fret. Okay, after that, play string 1, play string 3, and that gives us the first beat. Okay, second beat, string 1, string 3, lift the index, opens. So we have, let's try it together. Ready, go. Okay, the second half, I think is pretty much identical. Ba-do-do-do-do. So we have 0, 3, 3, 3, pluck, and that pluck is 3 and 1. So 0, 3, 3, 3, pluck. So at that point, at that pluck, you can lift that middle finger up because we have the same little triplet slide into thing that we had from the previous bars. Okay, so let's try that. Now the second measure is identical. So let's see if we can try just this first part. 3 and 4 and and even slower. Ready, go. Okay, so that one's pretty straightforward, and the same thing is going to happen with the next one, where it's going to go. So it's almost identical. The only difference is the ending of it. So it's going to start the same out of F. So the big key difference here is that we're tagging the end with 3 16th notes, ba-da-da, which is just that F note on the second string. So if you think about the 16th measure, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, triplet, triplet, ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba. That's really the only difference. Triplet, triplet. Then you're going to hit it again, right? Ba, switch to F, hit that twice. Ba, 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 and then da, da, da. So we have ba, 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 ba. Okay, so let's try 16. Triplet, 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 ba, da, 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 da. Okay, if we try 15 into 16, here we go. 1, 2. Ready, go. Okay, and backtracking 13 to 16. 1, 2, ready, go. Alright, so that should give you guys an idea of what those sound like. Again, take 2 bars at a time, so 13 to 14, 15 to 16, before trying all of those together, as well as backtracking to the previous 4. But if we keep moving forward, let's take a look at measure 17. It's going to be all 16ths, so rhythmically it's easy. It sounds like this. Okay, let's take a listen one more time. so all 16. All right, so let's break down exactly what's happening. So again, we're playing out of G minor for this measure. So what I want you to do is actually start with just that first finger as if it was the F. So you're going to do a double hammer on. We're going to pluck open C and that first fret of string 2. We're going to hammer on with the middle and the ring. So 2 and 3rd fret. Just like that. After that, play the open G and then the fretted 3rd fret on string 2. That gives us our first beat. Our second beat is going to be 4, 2, 4, 3. Okay, put that together. Here we go. Ready, go. Okay, next, lift that index finger. Keep these other 2 fingers planted. You're going to do a hammer on. You're going to pluck string 2, which is the 3rd fret, and the open A. And you're going to hammer on to the 1st fret of string 1. Ba-da. Okay, after that, hit the open G, and then pluck 1 and 2. Ba-da-dum-ba. So hammer, 4, pluck. Okay, that's beat 3. Hammer, 4, pluck. Okay, let's try that together. Ready, go. Hammer, 4, pluck. Now the last beat, beat 4, string 4. Then lift the ring finger up, put the index back to the 1st fret of string 2. And you're hitting it 3 times. Okay, so again, you've got to get that transition happening though. So I hit string 4, lift the ring up, index moves up 1 string, plays the F note 3 times. So if we backtrack, let's try the second half of it. So we have, okay, so actually remember, keep that middle finger and the ring finger down. So here we go, second half. Hammer, 4, pluck, 4, 1, 1, 1. Okay, let's try together. 2, E and A. 3, E and A. 4, E and A. That entire measure together. 3, E and A. 4, E and A. 1, E and A. 2, E and A. 3, E and A. 4, E and A. Okay, without me kind of whispering the count. 3, E and A. 4, E and A. Nice. Now, going into the next measure, it starts the same for the first half. So the first half, beats 1 and 2, identical. Beat 3, you're going to go 8th notes, da, da. So you can do like, Evan does a strum. I think a staccato pluck is really cool. Ba, ba. So that part, we also have to think what the second ukulele part is doing. And the second ukulele part is really building in the dynamics. It's going to be hitting the chords hard, da, da, right? So there's a lot of build up in the emotion and the expression in this part. So that's another thing we want to think of for our playing. Ba, ba. So just 2, staccato plucks on that G minor. When I staccato pluck, I just lift the fingers up a little bit to cut the sound. Ba, ba. So it should sound like that. Ba, ba. Okay? So trying that measure up to beat 3. Okay, so the last part of it has this cool little melody line that's going to finish up this theme. So we have boo-doo-doo-doo. That last note, the C note, is the first hit of the next measure. Ba-da-ba. So we're going to go 3rd on string 2, 1st on string 1, so still out of that G minor, right? Ba-da. Then you're going to go 4 to 5 on string 1. Ba-da-ba. So we have ba-da-da. Okay, if you put that bar together. Ba, 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 da, ba. Okay, let's see if we can try it together. 4, E and A. Ba, ba, do, da, da. Okay, one more time, a little bit faster. 3, E and A, 4, E and A. Okay, if we backtrack, 17 and 18. 3E and 4E and Nice. Okay, so this 17-18, I think, kind of starts like the second feel of the theme one, because it's kind of wrapping everything up. So if I continue from that little phrase that we played, I'm going to play till the end of this theme, which is measure 22. So you can hear, it's basically the same thing repeated twice. Ba-da-da-da, da-da-da-da, boo-doo-boo-doo, ba-da-da-da. Almost sounds a little bit like James Bond some of the time. Okay, so let's just tackle that, and then it's just going to literally get repeated again. So if we think about where we left off with the, right? So we're just going to end that to complete that phrase. It's going to be the third fret of string 1 plus the open C. So you're just playing an octave of a C note. From there, you're going to slide 5 to 6. I like to use the ring finger. It's on string 2. And then end on 3. Okay? So we have ba, do, do. So that open and the third fret, it's going to last 3 beats. Da, ba, da. Right? So it's going to linger pretty much 3/4 of the bar. 1, 2, 3, 4, and... Okay? Going into the next measure, just move that index finger up. You're going to hammer on 5 to 6, and then move back with the index and play 3. Ba-da. Okay, so if we put that together, ba-da, ba-da, ba-da-da-da. That's what we end up with. So let's try that. That's starting on the tail end of 18. Ready, go. Ba-da-da-da, da-da-da-da. Then you're literally just going to repeat it. Ba-da, ba-da. The only difference is I believe he slides 3 to 5 instead of 4 to 5 the second time around. Okay? But the rest is the same. So a slight little variation you can throw in there. So let's see if we can try that twice. So we're going to start on the tail end of 18 and then play all the way to 22. So here we go. 1, 2, 3. Ba-da, ba-da, 2, 3. Ba-da, ba-da. Ba-da, ba-da. Do-do-do-do. Okay, so that's going to finish up everything for the first ukulele part. So what I would recommend is just to break it into those phrases. We talked a lot about playing 2 bars at a time, right? So play 2 bars at a time and then try to take it in 4-bar chunks, right? And then move on to the next part. So you're going to go 9, 10, and then work on 11, 12, and then backtrack and do 9 through 12. After that, you're going to do 13, 14, 15, 16, and then 13 through 16. And then try all of those bars, all 8 bars, right? And then continue that as you move forward. So just take it in bite-sized things. Don't try to do everything from the get-go. Just build it as it goes, and it'll start to come together, which is a really cool thing. So once we get it all together, sound a little bit like this. Awesome. And I missed one of those little slide-in thingy notes at the end, which is a good point. If you ever mess up on anything, just keep going, right? So once you get it down and you get it to like that performance level, if you mess up one little note or one little phrase or whatever, it doesn't matter. Keep going. Always pretend like you're playing with a band, right? If you mess up one little part, does the band stop and wait for you to catch up? No, they keep playing. So always a good thing when I flub one little note here or there in a demo. But that's basically all of the theme one for ukulele one. So now we've learned everything that we're going to do for ukulele number 1. We're going to jump into learning everything that we need to for ukulele number 2. So we're going to backtrack to the intro. Okay, so for the second ukulele part, the first 3 measures are very, very easy. So you're literally going to be strumming a chord and holding it out for a whole note. So we're going to start with the basic G minor, and then for the second measure, we're going to F, and then for the third measure, we're going to E flat. So the fingering for E flat is going to be middle on the 3rd fret of string 3, ring fingers underneath, 3rd fret of string 2, index is 1st fret of string 1. And we have an open G. So let's see if we can try that. Remember, whole note, 3 bars. 1, 2, ready, go. 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. Now the next measure, the 4th measure, that's where it starts to get a little bit complex. So this 4th measure, we're going to go from D and up a half step to E flat, and then back to D. So the chord is a partial bar. It's going to be 1st finger flat on 5, strings 1 and 2. Middle finger 6 on string 3. Ring is 7 on string 4. And all you have to do for the next chord shape is literally, or keep the shape, move it up a half step, and then back down to D. So we have D to E flat to D. Okay? Now here's what's hard. It's the strumming and the rhythm. Now, this is going to be a crazy syncopated 16th part, but there's one golden rule that we can follow to make how to know when to go down and up easy. So if we had all quarter notes just on the D, it's beats 1, 2, 3, 4. We know it's all down for a downbeat. Now if we change that to 8th notes, we know we're going to go down up, right? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay? That same rule applies if it's 16th notes. So down on the downbeat, up on the upbeat. But 16ths, we got to think 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Right? Now, I'm going to put up the tab right here for this bar. What gets hard here is that you can see that we don't hit on every single thing, right? So if you look at the rhythm, we have 1 E, ah. So we're missing the 3rd hit for that first beat. So we have down, up, up, right? So that's a little bit tricky. Now you can see that that last hit that we just did, the ah of beat 1, ties into beat 2. So you're actually going to start beat 2 with an up on the E. And then you're going to hold and you're going to hit another up on the ah. Okay? So starting to get a little bit confusing, right? Because we have down, up, 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 up. Right? It's a little bit of a funky thing that's happening right here. Now, here's what we're going to do instead to make it a little bit easier. I think we should keep the motion of going down and up for 16th notes. So I'm going to put a few X's. That's going to signify a chuck, right? So I want you to go ahead and make the D. And I want you to go down, up. You can see that first X. We're just going to do a chuck going down, and then we're going to come up. And I want you to move up a half step so that it becomes the E flat. So we have down, up, chuck, up on the E flat. Okay? So down, up, chuck, up. All right, so let's try that together. Ready, go. Down, up, chuck, up. All right. All right, so now I'm going to add another X to beat 2. So you're going to chuck again for beat 2, and then you're going to strum again for the E. Okay, so we have down, up, chuck, up, chuck, up. There we go. So down, up, chuck, up, chuck, up. So let's add one more X, So one more chuck, and then come up on the D. So down, up, chuck, up, chuck, up, chuck, up. Okay? So in essence, all we did was we took this crazy syncopated thing and we made it more logical, right? So we added the chuck so we can just keep the down and up swinging motion of the hand going. By the way, I should probably play this measure in its entirety. It's a really cool sounding pattern. So super duper cool once you get it down. All right, so there was the first half, right? Let's try it again. So we have down, up, chuck, up, chuck, up, chuck, up. It's tricky. Down, up, chuck, up, chuck, up, chuck, up. Okay, so let's try it together. 3, 4. Down, up, chuck, up, chuck, up, chuck, up. Now this one, I want you to hold, and we're gonna tie this. We're not gonna throw in any more chucks or these little X's. We're gonna hold it, and then we're gonna go up, down. Okay, so down, up, chuck, up, chuck, up, chuck, up, down. Okay, so let's just try that. Ready, go. Okay, now you can see 30-second notes. So quick down, up, and then we're gonna follow it up with down, up, down. Okay, so we have ba 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 ba. Okay, so let's just try that. Down, up, down, up, down. So we're starting on the 30-second note. Down, up, down, up, down. Ba 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 ba. Ready, go. Okay, and if we backtrack and try everything, it's starting to make a lot of sense now, right? So we have ready, go. Down, up, chuck, up, chuck, up, chuck, up, down, ba, 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 ba. Okay. Right, so try and get that rhythm stuck in your head too. Ba, 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 ba. It's gonna make it so much easier to play. But let's try this now. Let's see if we can go bars 1 through 4. So the first 3, super easy. 1, 2, ready, go. 2, 3, 4, F, 2, 3, 4, E flat, 2, 3, 4. Pretty cool stuff, right? All right, so let's move on to our 5th measure. So the 5th measure, we're literally just going to be basically copying what the first ukulele part. So if you watch the first ukulele part, we're going to be playing the melody, but it's going to be a harmony, or a harmonized version of the melody. Okay, so there's the first part. It's basically picking all out of this G minor chord. So it's a staircase shape. Think of your E minor, move it up to the 7th, 6th, and 5th fret. I want you to strum, use your thumb to play the 3rd string, and then play 6, 8 on string 2. I'm going to do the piccato, and then 5 on string 1. Alright, so you can hear strum 3, 6, 8, 5, 3, 6, 8, 5. So let's just try that. That leads us to the first hit of beat 3. Strum 3, 6, 8, 5, 3, 6, 8, 5. Okay, to finish that up, we have 3, 6, 8, 5. So one more time, right? So we have strum 3, 6, 8, 5, 3, 6, 8, 5, 3, 6, 8, 5. And here's where the little pattern walks down. So it's going to go 8, 6 on string 2, and then 5 on string 1. All 16th notes. So a very simple one. Let's give it a shot. Ready, go. Nice. Now we're going to an F with a G in the bass. So it's going to be the same shape as the E flat that we covered earlier. You're just literally moving it up a whole step. So open 5, 5, 3. So for this one, we're going to go exact same pattern as before, just a different chord shape. So strum 3, 5, 6 on string 2, 3 on 1. Okay, so strum 3, 5, 6, 3 on string 1. Okay, then you're going to start again on string 3. Right, so it's the same thing as before, just a different chord shape. Strum 3, 5, 6, 3, 3, 5, 6, 3, 3, 5, 6. So when you get to the last one, you're going to do a little walk down. Right, so it's going to be 3, 6, 5, 3. Putting it together, strum 3, 5, 6, the C note, 3, 5, 6, C note, 3, 5, 6, C, walk down. Okay, so strum 3, 5, 6, 3, 3, 5, 6, 3, 3, 5, 6, walk down, 3, 6, 5, 3. Okay, so same pattern as this. Let's see if we can try both those measures together. Ready, go. So very, very easy stuff. Going down to the E flat. So we know this shape already. This one's even easier. So strum 3, 2, lift the first finger up, open A, put it back down, first fret. Strum 3, 2, 0, 1, 3, 2, 0, 1, 3, 2, 0, 1. So if you learned the first part, you know that we stop on beat 4 and hold for a quarter. So let's see if we can try that. Strum 3, 2, 0, 1, 3, 2, 0, 1, 3, 2, 0, 1. Okay. Now going into the last measure, you can play the same thing as we did in the fourth measure. And actually, I think that's what Evan did in the performance. Or you want to cut it short a little bit if you're following with the tablature where you just cut it short just to give it a variation. Right, so you're starting the same first half. Ba, 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 da, 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 up, down, up. That's all we're doing for a little variation. But again, the easiest way is just to play the same as bar 4. So let's try this. Let's try 5, 6, 7, 8. So here we go. Ready, go. Cool. Now let's backtrack. Let's try all of the intro. And remember, the first 3 are super easy. So here we go. 1, 2, ready, go. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that gives us a good idea of what that intro part sounds like for the second ukulele. Now, going into the next part, there is a lot of repetition in the rhythmic pattern that we're going to be playing. So it's pretty straightforward and pretty simple once you get it down. So let's do this. Let me play it first, and then we're going to simplify it by playing single notes just to get the rhythm and the pattern down. And then we'll put it to the strumming pattern. So here's what it sounds like with the strum intact. Right, so we can hear ba 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 ch ba 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 ch. So try to sing that da 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 ch ba da 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 ch. Right, try to sing that before you play it. So to make this easier, we're going to simplify it. We're going to start with just playing one single note with the mute to learn that rhythmic pattern that we're about to play. So it's going to sound like this. Okay, so take the index finger, put it on the first fret of string 1, and we're going to either play the note held down or as a muted to signify that chuck, that slap. Okay, so we have 1, mute, 1, 1, mute, 1, 1, mute, 1, 1, mute, 1, mute, 1, 1, mute, 1, 1, mute, 1, 1, mute. So say it with me as you play. 1, mute, 1, 1, mute, 1, 1, mute, 1, 1, mute. So when I mute, I'm just lifting up, touching the string as if it was, a muted strum hit. 1, mute, 1, 1, mute, 1, 1, mute, 1, 1, mute. Right, even slower. 1, mute, 1, 1, mute, 1, 1, mute, 1, 1, mute. 1, mute, 1, 1, mute, 1, 1, mute, 1, 1, mute. So once you can get that down, you have it down, right? Ba, 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 da. Right? Really important. Get that stuck in your head. Right? And you can hear it. Right, so you can hear it, right? So now let's learn what's happening with the strum. So make the G minor chord. So we're going to go down, chuck, up, chuck, up, chuck, up, chuck. So down, chuck, up, chuck, up, chuck, up, chuck. Remember, every chuck is a down hit. Down, chuck, up, chuck, up, chuck, up, chuck. Okay, so say that too while you're practicing and playing it. Down, chuck, up, chuck, up, chuck, up, chuck. Okay, so let's see if we can try that together. 1, 2, ready, go. Down, chuck, up, chuck, up, chuck, up, chuck. And that's basically it. So you're going to do that 2 times. So that's going to be measure 9 and 10. And then you're going to do it 2 times for F. So that would be measure 11 and 12. So let's see if we can try those 4 bars together. 1, 2, ready, go. Down, chuck, up, chuck, up, chuck, up, chuck. Okay, so that gives you the first 4 measures. After that, it's going to go back into G minor, and you're going to do 2 more bars of that. Okay, now one thing that I do want to throw out too, if you don't like the ending, right, you can add just a couple extra little hits. You can hear da, I'm just adding a right, just an extra little couple hits. That way it's not so much of a, it sounds very rigid if we don't add a little kind of embellishment in between, right? Sounds a lot more natural. So something to keep in mind as well, because if you play as it's written, as I taught, sounds like there's a hard cut off each measure. So I just want to throw that idea out for you. So again, we have 2 bars of G minor, 2 bars of F, and then 2 bars of G minor, all doing the same rhythm before we see a change. Actually, I was wrong. There's 2 more bars of F after that, so my bad. So that gives us 8 bars total. So 2 of G minor, 2 of F, 2 of G minor, 2 of F, doing all the same rhythm. That takes us up to bar 17 before we see a change. So bar 17, the change is going to be this. I'll play 17 into 18. And this is the section, if you watch the part 1 ukulele lesson, this is a section that I talked about where it kind of builds and it just hits hard at the end of bar 18. So we can hear it just dynamically building. So those last couple hits, we want to just really, really hit hard. So let's go ahead and tackle just the first measure. So we have, so it's pretty much the same rhythm. So we have down, chuck, up, chuck. So we're just going to do that. Down, chuck, up, chuck. So take that G minor. Let's do it together. Ready, go. Down, chuck, up, chuck. Then keep those two fingers there, but lift the index. Put the pinky on 5 on string 1. Down, chuck, up, chuck. Okay, so here we go. G minor to G5. Right, ready? 1, 2, ready, go. Down, chuck, up, chuck. Down, chuck, up, chuck. Nice. Next, we're going to G minor 7. Evan does this crazy finger stretch. He's an Olympic athlete. I'm not, so let's simplify it. So I'm going to use middle finger just for 7 on string 3. Index is 6 on string 2. Ring finger is 8 on string 1. The G string will be open. So that's my easy way. The next chord, all you're going to do is take the pinky and put it on 10 on string 1. You can lift that ring finger up or keep it down, doesn't really matter, just as long as you get that chord change. So we have 0, 7, 6, 8 to 0, 7, 6, 10. So those are the two changes. So it's going to start the same. Down, chuck, up, chuck. And then when we get to adding the pinky down, 2 down, 2 heavy hits. Ba, ba. So make it climax right there, right? Okay, that's the key. So here we go. Ready, slow. Ba, ba. If we backtrack, 17 to 18. Ready, go. Okay, so really, really cool stuff. So moving on to the home run stretch. We've got some really cool jumps. Now it's going to be the same rhythm as those first 8 bars, but what's going to make it hard is that you are going to be jumping up between chords. So it was easy because we stayed stagnant on the chord, but this time around we're jumping up. So the question is, what does that mean? What does that sound like? Let me show you. I'm going to play the next 3 measures, 19, 20, 21. So it's really cool, right? So let's break down just the first one. I'll play it slow. Okay, let's break that down slow. Starts with the C. You're going to do a chord change to a higher voice of a C, but you have a little passing tone in between. So start with the C with the index finger. Okay, basic C. Then move that up to the 6th fret, string 1. Add the middle finger to 7 on string 2. That's going to be the passing tone, and then we're going to go up a half step from there and end on the higher voice of C, which is 8/7. Okay, so just practice that chord change for a second, and then let's put it into the context. So the first half is going to be down, chuck, up. Okay, and I'll put the tab up here. I'm going to add an extra chuck on beat 2. Same context we talked about earlier, just to kind of help the rhythm keep steady. Okay, so down, chuck, up, chuck. Okay, so down, chuck, up, chuck. But here's what happens. That chuck on beat 2, that little red X that I added, that's when your left hand's going to be transitioning to that passing chord tone. So down, chuck, up. Okay, so you want to be transitioning on that beat 2. Down, chuck, up. Okay, you're going to finish that up with a chuck and then move up a half step and get to that higher voice of C. So slow. Down, chuck, up, chuck, up. Okay, let's try just that. Ready, slow. Now you're going to hold this out and you're going to go up, chuck, up, chuck. Okay, so this last half, we're holding into beat 3, and then we're going up, chuck, up, chuck. Okay, so let's try that. Holding in, 1, 2, 3, up, chuck, up, chuck. If we tie all of that together for that measure, we have ready, go. Okay, if I call it out, slow. Down, chuck, up, chuck, up, chuck, up, chuck, up, chuck. And again, ready, go. Okay, so hit pause, practice that. If you can get that down, the next measure is identical, just different chord changes. Okay, so the next measure is going to be out of G minor, and we're starting the same. So down, chuck, up. Okay, we're going to add an X for beat 2 just to keep the pattern going and make it easier. Remember, during this X, this chuck, we're going to be transitioning to the next chord. So let's talk about our passing chord tone. So we start with G minor, passing chord tone. We're going to go up 7, 6, 8 with the ring finger. Open G. And then to make it the G minor 6, just move the ring finger back a half step. Open 7, 6, 7. So you may want to just practice those 3 chords. Okay? But same context, everything's identical to the measure we just did. Okay, so you know all the pattern. Down, chuck, up, chuck, up, chuck, up, down, up, down. Okay, so you know that pattern already. So you just got to put it into the new chord shape. So let's see if we can try it together. Hit pause if you need to practice. Ready, go. Okay, so the hard part is going to be going those two together, which will sound like this. 1, 2, ready, go. Okay, next measure, 21, goes higher. So no passing tone this time, but we're just going to end up on a C7 all the way up on the neck. It's the same C7 as this. We're just going to use the middle finger for 12 on string 2 and ring finger for 13 on string 1. So this measure is going to sound like this. So it's the same exact hits, the same everything. The only difference is that we don't have a passing tone. So and I'll put up the tab again for this part. Let's see if we can try that together. Just practice that transition, but it's the same thing. Down, chuck, up, down for the X that I added in red, and just end on the C7. Okay, so down, chuck, up, down, up, chuck, chuck, up, chuck. All right, let's try that one. Ready, go. Okay, now the last measure is going to be different. It's going to sound like this. Really, really cool walk up. So it starts the same. It's going to be G minor. Down, chuck, up, chuck. Okay, so down, chuck, up, chuck. All stuff we've done before. But now we have a little ba, 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 syncopated run going up. So just take the index finger, lay flat on 8, strings 1 and 2. Go up a half step and another half step. Put that together. So ba, 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 ba. Get that stuck in your head. Let's see if we can try slow. Ready, go. And you can see that I'm adding a couple little muted hits in between. Same kind of concept, just keeping the right hand going steady. If you want to clean it up, you can just go like that. But you can even hear that Evan puts the little muted things because it really helps to keep the hand going steady and keep the timing going at an even tempo. But let's backtrack. Let's try all those 4 tricky measures, right? So the last 4 measures starting on C. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and if we backtrack, we'll cycle through everything that we have. And remember, the first 8 bars is just literally the same simple chords. There's no changes, nothing complex with the left hand. It's all about the right hand. So if we cycle through everything, so that gives you an idea. And take it and feel free to make it your own as well. You can change up the rhythm, but it's gotta have a driving force to it, and that's the rhythm that Evan came up with, and the one that I taught you. And it's really, really fun, and it's nice to not play the island strum. Can I get a high five, right? But that's gonna complete everything for our part 1 lesson, guys. So in our part 2 lesson, we're gonna be kicking off with theme 2 and learning the rest of the tune, including that epic ukulele solo that Evan came up with. So that's going to be a ton of fun, but that's going to kick off in our part 2 lesson, which you can click this link right here to check out and watch. Also, don't forget too that you can go to the site rockclass101.com. You can do a search for Bodysurfing. That'll land you at that page as well. And on that page is the tabs that you can print off and keep for your records as a PDF format, as well as access the really cool on-screen tab viewer, which was that interactive tab player. You can hit highlight bars to loop sections, slow it down to any speed. A really, really great asset for learning a tricky tune like this that much easier. Plus, last but not least, were the backing tracks. So you can download the ukulele part 1 and the ukulele part 2. So whichever one you learn, you can play along with Evan, or if you learn both, you can do both parts. So guys, again, I hope you enjoyed this lesson. This one's a ton of fun. I've been really wanting to tackle this song for a long time. And I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the part 2 lesson. Take care.